live. This is the CHRILLCAST live. I'm your host, Chris.
And I'm Will.
And we didn't tell them how to start the show.
No, we didn't. But we have some awesome guests below me. Go ahead and introduce yourselves in order.
Absolutely. My name is Benny Capaul.
I'm Cappaulli.
Hey, I'm Billy.
Billy.
I don't know if the web browser is refreshing fast enough for people to see it, but why don't you guys tell everybody about what you do real quick before we break into the deep, dark death subject?
Absolutely. I am Benny Capaul. I'm a fourth-generation funeral professional out of Ida, Michigan. I am a husband, father. I am a singer of a band called The Boy Detective, also a singer and bassist for Capaul. I have a podcast called Let's Talk About Death, which is clearly on your screen right now. Please download. Let's talk about death. Let's keep it going. And then also we have a YouTube channel called Capaul's Corner. So check all that out. It's way too much. I apologize.
He doesn't apologize at all.
I really do.
All right, my name's Cappaulli. I am actually a funeral assistant. I work with Benny. I'm also a father as well, proud father. I dabble in a little bit of everything, so sort of a jack of all trades. Music, so you can see my music page right now through YouTube. I do also have a podcast as well. I also do a lot of live videos via Facebook, so just a little bit of everything as far as content creating is concerned.
Yeah, and all of their links are down below in the description, so if you want to find anything that they have, it's in the description. Billy, your stuff will be in here after the podcast concludes. I'm sorry, I forgot to post it in there.
Your stuff doesn't matter.
I know, it's whatever.
He's been on
man.
here so many times, I forget sometimes to put stuff in the
Good.
description, but it's there. It'll be there.
Just delete Tales.
Billy, what do you do?
I am Billy. I used to do a bunch of other stuff. Now I do Tales of Initiative, a lovely, awesome TTRPG D&D channel where we all do actual plays and kind of edit it to make it, watchable. It's a lot of fun, and everybody. We have a giant group of people and a growing community, and it's been a blast to make. It's a lot of fun.
It's a critical hit.
Oh yeah. just to put it in here, we got two members of D&D for over 15 years now. We've been on the same campaign for way too long.
Listen, man, we're always looking for fun people. So
I don't know. It's you gotta spend a lot for these characters.
Oh shit! Our budget is $0.
Worth a lot.
Oh man!
No, thank you all for thank you for having us. Thank you for thinking about us. This is incredible. We're gamers and we're nerds by heart. So this is exactly up. I mean, I'm also an underwear model, but mostly, I love playing games, and this is good. Let's get talking about death and games. I think this is such a great topic. So I'm going to try not to be a host. I'm so used to being a host, so I apologize if I'm stepping on toes.
No, it's totally fine.
But I'll be honest. I think what I think is interesting is, my start of video games was the classic NES. We didn't have Atari, so we started with NES, and I remember countless days trying to beat Super Mario 1, which was just, let's be honest, almost impossible for children. But we tried,
and
we really
adults.
did, and then by the time we got to the last castle, that was when Mom would kick us out of the house, so she would of course unpower the game. So everything that we, basically our lives were over until we, came back in and tried it again. But really, I think we hit our stride. Cappaulli can speak for this as well. When we got our first PlayStation, yeah. Because we had GameCube and we had 64, but we had 64 really late. We didn't have it right when it was. So PlayStation was kind of like the next big hit for us. And I just remember, for me, Resident Evil changed my whole world. I just loved the horror genre, and to be honest, we're kids of funeral directors, so anything that's in the horror realm in general is amazing. But what was cool about Resident Evil was it wasn't just shoot 'em up, right? You had the over the shoulder with the awkward camera angles and moves, and then you also had, which we loved, the puzzles. I miss that because we loved Myst and Seventh Guest on PC. We actually liked like using our brains instead of just pointing and trigger. And I'm going on my spiel here, but I think that's the biggest problem with games today. In our day, we had good storyline, and I think, when you buy a new game, if you buy a new game, I don't know if that's even a thing anymore. You know what I mean? Let's go back 5 years. Let's date ourselves. But when you bought a game and you spent like whatever $60 on it, right? And you got it home and you're like, dude, I want to campaign this, and it was like an hour. You were like, what?
Yes.
The Flying Batsman was that. Because in all honesty, like, I think, don't get me wrong, I think multiplayer is cool. I think it's really something unique that we didn't have when we were younger, to be able to play with whoever and whenever at any time. But at the same time, like, I just want to play a game. So like, even like the Fallout 76 or whatever, like, I was so pissed when that first person came in and just killed me for no reason. I was like, what are we doing here? I'm just trying to beat Fallout, okay?
You're like, PvP, what's that?
I was like, oh man, I was like, how dare you? You know what I mean? Like, all 3, Vegas 4, like, it was going so good. And then just no. And then there was no characters to talk to other than the people that were coming in and killing you. And then you're like, okay, well, that was pointless excursion.
You're like,
so,
I thought this was an NPC. I thought you were an NPC. Nope, you're dead.
Drives me nuts. Drives me nuts, guys.
Yeah, I stick to single player games for that exact reason for the most part.
Like I said, I don't mind if you add the element of multiplayer, but make it so you don't have to do it too. You know what I mean? Like, give us that, because that was always the problem too, right? Because I always like playing the campaign first. So like Battlefield or Call of Duty would come out, and I wanted to play the campaign first. So by the time I got into multiplayer, there was already a level 50 like shooting me the second I come in a game, and I was like, "What? Literally? Are you kidding me?"
That's exactly how I play.
It's like, why would you want to play the campaign first? Get a little acclimated with the character. Know how to turn the flashlight on the combat shotgun. Be able to do the fun, and then you get into the multiplayer, and there's just no time to do anything, right? You're either camping or you're running and hoping to God you get a good knife in at least once or twice.
Yeah.
It sounds like I should probably be fighting you in multiplayer instead of the people I'm playing against right now, because we'd be on the same level.
I think that's the rule, right? Like, if you're camping, like, they should just like completely like excommunicate you from games. You know what I mean? Like, sorry, you're literally, didn't they should have a blacklist, right? Sorry. You're out of here. You've been camping. You've been camping up there on the silo way too long. But it's. I mean, good for them. Good for them in their ghillie suit, I guess.
But I do want to start this off with a very specific question, though. Like, since we are going to be talking about death, in each of your opinions, which is the most iconic video game death for you? And
man,
why?
that's not where I thought you were going with that. Come on.
I have to ask, what's the most iconic for you? Is it Sergeant Johnson for Will, or is it somebody else?
No, it's Lee from The Walking Dead. I cried like a baby.
That was a good choice.
Oh,
yeah,
really?
dude.
One we were talking about earlier that really fascinated me was Batman Arkham Knight in the very, very beginning, when you have Joker and he's being cremated. I thought that was incredible. Just the close-up of him in the, what is it called again?
In a crematorium, the machine that you use is called a retort. Now you know.
So he's literally in the furnace or retort, and he's got this big grin, and you start the incinerator. And I always thought that was a really, really cool, fun, and impactful way to start the game. Like, what a better way to set the tone than literally Joker being cremated. And actually, another thing, too, you brought up earlier, like kind of our history of video games, because we did have an original NES. We did have a PlayStation 1, N64, all that. But even going back to the original Mario, like, how many times did you die over and over, and how frustrating it was? And then you'd finally get to the epic game over. And as a kid, it was devastating, because you'd want to get to the end. You'd want to beat the game, and you're just dying over and over. You fall into a pit. A Goomba's getting you, like, you jump into the turtle too early. Like, you can't, So I don't really. It's tough to say like what's the most iconic death, but those are two right away that I can think of is Joker in the incinerator and just dying over and over in the original Super Mario Brothers.
That goes to another
absolutely.
question I have for later, by the way.
I would say I got the silliest deaths and the best death. I think the best death is Cappaulli and I's favorite game, Bloodborne. We really just love throwing our controller around most of the time. We really just love playing the exact same thing and grinding and literally like having no teeth left when we're done with the game. But when you get to Garum at the end, and if I'm not going to have any spoilers here, am I? Is this?
I mean,
spoiler
Bloodborne has been out for a long time.
I will never
Yeah,
get
go
to the
play
end of that
Bloodborne.
game. So
I mean,
it's
you're
fine.
looking at 2 platinums here for Bloodborne. So
That's
that's
true.
what you're
God.
We both have the platinum.
You guys have the platinum for Bloodborne?
Yeah.
Oh my
Oh, yeah.
goodness.
Oh yeah. And I almost got the platinum for the Hunters, but I didn't care at that
Which
point.
I got to tell. I don't mean to interrupt,
The
but
Hunter's Dream.
Billy, you will appreciate this. I have to say, I gotta name drop here. Will Gerard is the reason that I platinumed Bloodborne. He was a huge help. We had so much fun. We had, the guidebooks. We had conversations. He'd jump into my game, vice versa. So I figured you'd appreciate that. Will, if you're watching this, thank you. You're amazing.
And I didn't have to have any help. I did it by myself because that's how you really earn
I gave you the
a
guidebook.
platinum. Guidebook
man-
is not somebody in
you
your
the
game.
book.
Oh,
Anyways,
the man is a
beside the
glutton
point.
for punishment. That's
Beside the point.
Cappaulli,
And the
you gotta tell us though, Cappaulli. Did you take the battery out of his controller and hand him that one, and then you played for him? Is that how that went down? Just like old times, right?
Or I put my arms around my back and he puts his arms through and he's playing, so it
that's
looks
it.
like I'm playing.
Oh man.
Secretly, when Cappaulli wasn't at his set, I went and I got the platinum for him.
Uh-huh.
And just like, so when he got it, he's like, oh, I
Yeah, I didn't
even
put
realize I got
150
the
hours in the
platform.
game or anything.
But no, and the reason I say that is because in the whole Bloodborne lore, which is a nightmare in itself, we could have literally a 7-part Crowcast on the Bloodborne lore, which I think is why I love that game so much. There's so much deepness to that game. A dream inside of a dream, inside of a dream, inside of a world, inside of hell. It's a lot of stuff. But basically, at the end, if you really look into it, you're played off as this hunter that takes care of all these evil monsters. But that if you really look into it, they were poisoned and they're regular people. So you were actually just slaying these innocent people. So you actually are the monster. And then when you get to Garum, you have this opportunity where either he kills you, he allows you to pick if you want to die, he'll kill you and you're out of there. You get out of this hell. Or you can choose to fight him and basically become the new master of the hell. And he warns you through the whole game, don't do this, this is not worth it. And I like to have sex with dolls in the game. Which is true. It's true.
Like
We're
the
here about
tagline.
truth, Chris. We're here about truth. It's an awkward part of the game. But anyways, so I thought that was just a really cool death. I think the silliest deaths are the twisted metal deaths. You win the game and you get in these weird.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. They cut out.
Weirdest. Anyways, if you guys ever play Twisted Metal, go out and play Twisted Metal.
I've played Twisted Metal, but we did lose you guys for 5 seconds there. I'm not sure what happened.
Oh no! So you didn't hear that? You didn't. Oh, I said the goofiest deaths were the Twisted Metal deaths because you would win the game, and then Calypso would put you in this weird your dream. He was like the genie, like the bad Jinju or whatever. That would just your wish was what it's not what you wanted.
But it was also it was a cool concept though, because if I remember correctly, when you beat the game, whatever player you were doing, they got the wish. You got one ultimate wish, and there was always a big twist to it. So you got what you wanted.
Ooh,
but it
what
was
a twist.
terrible. So one was it was a demon, and he said, "If I win, I want to go back to hell." And then you beat the game, and he's this big, huge, fiery demon is freezing in snow, and it says, "Welcome to Hell, Michigan."
Mhm.
It's got that cool leprechaun twist to it.
Cha-ching! Michigan.
Dude, there is a really funny game. It's called Back. I think it's Michigan Back from Hell. It only released in Europe, but it's about a photographer in Detroit, and in the whole game, wherever you're doing the photos at, it makes things happen in game. It's so bizarre. But at the end of the game, no matter what you do, you die.
Yeah. The weirdest part though is that it's based in Michigan. It's just like, what a
amazing.
random place to have a game based when it's a European game.
It was released in Japan and Europe, and that's it.
Was there a secret like UP edition?
No. There, I mean, there
Buy
should
the
be,
DLC.
but there wasn't.
The Uper edition?
Yeah, we need that.
Yeah, that I'm sure that would be something that no one would like except the Upers.
So I have one to bring up that I actually haven't played the game, but I read the synopsis of it, and I was like, man, that is a messed up thing to do. John Marston, Red Dead Redemption.
Yeah.
That very end of the game, he dies.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then the son can avenge him. Like, talk about a weird ending to a game that's actually pretty good. I don't care for RDR2 at all, but one's pretty cool.
I can't think of the name, but Final Fantasy VII was the first time they killed off like one of the main characters. I remember that kind of caught me off guard because we weren't used to that in games yet.
Mm-hmm.
And by the time you got there, you were in love with all the characters, really.
I was going to make that the thumbnail, but I thought that'd be too easy.
Dom is another one that I remember playing, and I was like, "What a cool way to go!" Spoiler here: I did kind of look at a couple of what people thought was, and they said the guy who did the Genophage, but then decided not to do the Genophage, and he did.
Morden. Oh, dude,
he killed the Krogans, bro.
He did.
Yeah, but
you can't make up
not
for
really, but kind of.
He unleashed the Genophage, yes, but the reason they did that made sense in game like storyline. But maybe a lot of these scientists get told to do something, and then in these games, right, it ends up having a really bad effect that they didn't expect. And I think Genophage is one of those ones where it's like, nope, they knew that was going to happen.
They knew exactly what they were doing.
Oh, but the Krogan were monsters at that point, man.
I just love the Krogan.
The Krogan are awesome. But my favorite thing in that game about the Krogan is when they ask him about it, he goes, they're like, why don't Krogan scientists, fix the Genophage? Like, we're not meant for that. We're meant for war. It's like, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Oh my god.
No, but the interesting thing to talk about death with games too is the whole desensitization and the whole thing, like with
yes, this is where I was getting to. Okay,
I'm sorry, yet again hosting.
So where I was going with this was the commentary about like dying over and over again, right? With the not reincarnation. My brain's not getting there. Respawning has had a very big impact on society, especially children if they play games with respawning in it. So it's kind of interesting that like you can die over and over and over again in game with like very little penalty, and the effect that's had on the mentality of death. Like,
you ever watch Rick and Morty, Chris?
That.
Yeah.
There's an episode on this where he like resets himself, and it's actually like 10 alternate versions of himself.
So true story with that. So while he's doing it, there's a specific song that keeps playing over and over, and it's Eric Clapton's "It's in the Way That You Use It." I saw the episode recently, and I had that song playing over and over in my head. That's crazy because I know exactly what you're talking about. And that is an awesome. That's the Vat of Acid episode.
Oh God, it's so good.
Yeah.
I think it's the Vat of Acid.
Where he does the bone. He does the
yes.
He does the wrong
releases it. Yes.
And then he makes him at the end go into a van and do it just to prove that it was such a good thing.
Yep.
It's beautiful. Gosh, that was the writing is just so impressive, to be honest. But yeah, no, going back to you, Chris, which by the way, this is ChrillCast. I'm your host, Benny Capaul. Yeah, no, honestly, it's an interesting topic, and I talk about this with my identical twin, Doc Nick, all the time, who does the podcast with me on Let's Talk About Death. And it's interesting because there's so many pros and cons with young kids with games. Let's be honest, though, we weren't playing the things we were seeing in games were a lot different than what the kids are seeing now in games.
Oh, yeah.
Literally, they're seing rape scenes in games now, which is it's absurd.
Makes me uncomfortable, that's for sure.
Right. I mean, and you even look at like I remember like when Mortal Kombat, the first one came out, and like everybody was going nuts that it was too gory. And it's like if a kid played that now, they'd be like, what? Like they literally Back to the Future scene, like, what is this? A baby's toy? You gotta use your hand. Love that scene. Love that scene. But yeah, no, but I think to some extent it is desensitizing if you keep dying and there's no consequence for your actions. Though I also look at, if you think about it, like going out and like punching a pillow to relieve aggression, right? I'm sure there's part of that that's getting done through shooting things, I mean, obviously, and the hand-eye coordination that are the children are getting now from video games is just incredible. Not to mention you have to be technologically advanced now at the age of 2 to do anything.
My kids scrolling through stuff now. It's like no problem for them.
But when like Columbine happened, like they were going after the video games and they were going after like Marilyn Manson and ICP. Chris is a big juggalo. What? Whoop. I don't know.
You really got to be specific when you say, Chris, because there are multiple.
I know I made that mistake earlier.
Wait, I didn't say Cappaulli. Did I say Chris?
I think he was addressing that Chris for Rick and Morty, and then I answered it and realized
it's totally fine. Yeah.
Well, and you guys literally have a will and a bill. You know what I mean? So it's just you're just setting us up for failure at this point.
Only
right?
one Benny.
Better
I guess
co-host,
you got to be the host today.
Gosh, or at least change your name. Gosh.
Well, we could be combine all our names together. We could be the Billcast today. That would work, right?
Yeah, right. Oh man, this is great. Well, yeah. So I mean, how do you all feel about like the desensitizing of games with like children towards death? Because I'll go a little bit more into that, but I kind of want to feel how you, from the outside of being in the death field, how you feel about it.
My personal opinion, I could jump in with this. My personal opinion on the whole respawn and whatnot, I just think that there's a lack of emphasis on what death is in games. I just don't think there's a lot of games that really represent it well in a way that a kid would understand it, right? And I think that games could do a lot better job of making you to understand what death is without necessarily like scarring a kid for life at the same time. Like in Tomb Raider, when you die, it's clear that is a death. You know that person is dead the way that it happens. Like Lara Croft gets like spiked in rivers, or she gets eaten by bears. Like that's a little too graphic in my opinion, but it definitely represents true. Like this person is dead. You know that person is not coming back normally. But I think that on the other hand, maybe games without death in them are better for children in general. Just my personal opinion on that. Like Minecraft is pretty good representation for kids. Like Legos virtually, right? Or like you get the creepers that explode, and then it has a screen that says you died, but it's block people. It's like taking apart a Lego guy. Like, okay.
Yeah. I think. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I thought you were done.
And I was just gonna say, then there's Fortnite, which I just don't understand the appeal of that game. I just don't.
So I think it's a kind of a complex answer. So for me, it depends on what the goal of the game is. For me, games are more of an escape. So I don't necessarily want to be reminded of how terrible life is already and the realization that I will end as well as everyone else. I don't necessarily like to be faced with that in games. Sometimes it's really powerful. So like I brought up the Walking Dead series. So you actually have to choose between certain characters in that series to die, and then they don't come back. So I feel like that is a good representation without going too far, because you feel the pang, but it's obviously not real life. So it's not as dreadful. But then like I'm playing Gears of War 5 right now, and I'm just chainsawing through people, and like that's like a power fantasy. So like, yeah, this is wonderful. But I'm hoping that I don't want to like pull that into real life and start thinking like, oh, my coworkers, it'd be really good if I had that Lancer right now. No. Yeah, I think it just depends on. Not every game should represent it in a realistic way, because I don't think that's the point in a lot of games. And I think it's a hard medium to do that, because how do you not just focus? How is that not like the entire focus of the game at that point? Instead of just like you have a scene where like a character dies, and it's like you really only have so much time to dedicate to that, and it's not necessarily like the entire game should be dedicated to that. If that makes sense.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
I'm just going to read this comment real quick from the guest here, or not the guest, the comment section. This person, Demicro, they've already donated twice, so thank you for that. They said save states are crucial, and respawns in general need to be fair, not just let the player retry a whole bunch of times at the same area. They need to make the player backtrack and rethink their mistakes.
No.
I think the consequence
You
is gotta
bring back
fit the
any
bill,
yes,
right?
man. Take away saves for a while. See what people really
Everyone
start
would be
doing.
dead.
I will
you know?
literally
Oh
not
my
play.
God. No.
I will not go back.
The anarchy out there.
We talked about Bloodborne earlier. Think about the Soul series too. You die, you're not going to be able to go back and do the same thing. You got to figure out, what did I do wrong? I got to be really, really careful if I want to get my souls back or echoes back. So, I mean, I do think there are some games that, yeah, you are going to respawn, but there are consequences. And especially in the Soul series, if you're not careful, you get one chance to reclaim that stuff. So if you're being greedy or if you're being ridiculous and not being careful and didn't learn from your mistakes, you're going to lose that experience for good.
So that game makes me want to bring the anger into the real world.
It's so rewarding, though, man.
Cappaulli and I have already gone through purgatory with just playing Bloodborne for the longest time. We did.
Your souls are safe then.
But yeah, no, but there's another couple deaths I've thought about, which I think you would all appreciate. Last of Us, right at the beginning, when he loses his daughter.
Oh my gosh, that was so heart-wrenching.
Because that literally shows the progression of his actual dealing with grief, which is incredible. Sure. Because there's not many games that actually do that. So I thought about that, and then I also thought about a little bit wilder, but The Evil Within is a very good mental grief, and so honestly, so is the Silent Hill games, because he deals with grief in, I think, two. Is it two? One, I guess in all of them he does, but in theory it's two, right? I think. Where I
haven't played the Silent Hill game.
It's been a while for me.
I don't know, but yeah, the consequences. I think whoever wrote that, by the way, thank you for contributing to ChrillCast. Yeah, I think having some sort of repercussion for, if you die, or not having like a hologram and then you're right back where you were, right? But yeah, no, I think it's a very interesting. I think it's a very interesting topic, and I literally spend my whole life educating people on death. So this is nice to have a fresh, fun experience with it, and not necessarily, and have him with me too. So yeah.
I think we should let Billy hop in too. I don't want to accidentally.
Oh, hi! No, listen. You guys are going crazy. I love it. I will say this for the second question that we're talking about. I think it's really interesting because a lot of the parts of like death in games, when you see like you think of games like Fallout or something, right? And somebody dies, gets torn apart. You don't think a second. You don't even think another millisecond. They just rip apart and it's gone. But then you think of how people reacted to games like Last of Us 2, where at the beginning of it, they brutally murdered somebody. Spoilers if you haven't played Last of Us 2 at this point. But in that stuck with everybody forever, and it is something that people still debate to this day. But I don't know, it's really interesting. It's just kind of like the realism of it, I guess, and seeing how people do get taken out in different games and the different variations and spins on it. I don't know, it's a really interesting topic, and I'm with you guys. It's wild. Yeah,
and I was thinking about, we actually brought up before we were on here, we were talking to our agents about the new Fast and the Furious films franchise we're doing. But anyways, we brought up obviously the main one that people always talk about, the Call of Duty, where you're in the airport and you're mowing down as a terrorist.
I had a hard time with that one.
Yeah, and it's really tough because I didn't.
I don't think
it was necessary at all to put in the game. To be honest, I don't. And I'm sorry if you're the creator or writer out there. I don't know what you were doing, but that caused, and maybe that was his thing. Let's get people to communicate about this. Maybe he just hates killing in games. He's like, you know what? Fine, I'm gonna make money doing that. I'm gonna do it the right way. But I just remember that came out, and I remember it was being asked to be taken off the walls, and a lot of others were protesting it. And in fairness, absolutely, I played that, and it was cringeworthy. I don't want to be in this room. I'm looking around, is my wife going to come in here and think I'm this weird guy now? What are you playing? You know what I mean? I remember actually I was still probably still at home. I don't remember when that game came out, but I remember I don't want to. I'm glad I'm not playing this around anybody. Now when I look at like, we're fathers of young children. I could not play that game in front of, and that's the trouble, because now as we get older with children, all I'm going to do is play games, and then when you get that opportunity, but your 6-year-old daughter is staring and now can understand things, you're like, yep, I guess I'm playing Knack again. I guess I'm Knack again.
Good game, though. Let's be fair.
I will totally cut in on that, though. I think it's wild to me, because like that scene in Modern Warfare 2, like alone, added so much to the conversation of people being like, games are turning kids into shooters and all that fun stuff, and like that did not help the scene of games are not like brainwashing everybody and like doing all that fun stuff. So
I felt the most frustrating part about that entire campaign mission was not being able to sprint.
What I wanted to do was turn around and shoot the guys next to me. That's what I wanted to do when I played.
It was so hard, right? You were
didn't fire a bullet, so they shot me and said I was a traitor.
I think
that's how it worked, wasn't it? Like if you didn't shoot anybody, you got labeled a traitor and they'd kill you.
I was like, I need to call my priest now and get a confession set up, because like this is going to be quite the experience, And then he'd be like, "Oh yeah, I played Call of Duty too, man. I get it, get it."
He's like, "Here's a Bud Light.
Here's 10 Our Fathers, and you'll be fine."
Oh man,
throw some holy water on.
Take a shot of whiskey and.
Yikes!
I know, I'm just kidding.
Sorry.
What was I going to say about that? I think that scene kind of really drove home that games are a medium that tell lots of stories, and not all of them are good.
Oh, Dantes Inferno. Dantes Inferno. Was it? Did I say that right?
Yeah.
Is that the? Yeah.
Yeah,
where
awesome
literally
game.
You go through the levels of hell. I was like, that was a cool game on death, because he literally has to like make his way through these layers. It brings people back to a book that was incredible to begin with. And then it was very, very explicit. And there was choices you make. But I remember that was a different game.
That was cool though, because going back to choices too, what was cool about Dantes Inferno was you would interact with these tortured souls, and you'd have a choice to either further damn them or you could set them free through salvation. And I thought that was, again, how you played your character. You could be evil or you could be good, and you had a cross and you had a scythe, and you could choose. And I thought that was a really neat dynamic in that game.
And Wells just like break out the scythe every time.
Yeah, no, well, I actually have that game. I just haven't gotten to it yet, so I'm actually really interested in it now.
I like morality systems in games. I love morality systems.
Could be a where they cast with them, and they'll be like, "When did the show die?" And you'd be like, "Well, it was when Capaul and Benny came on and talked about death." Why do you look like Capaldi looks like a 90s disc jockey that only plays 70s songs? And then I look like an old man that's just about to have an Earl Grey, apparently. So we got a good setup here. Really good setup. Real professional here.
Nobody was thinking that until you said that, but now
you're thinking it.
And
if you're only listening to this, really just think, I want your imagination to go wild here.
Fan art. Everybody needs fan art.
Yes, we need some fan art. NFTs.
Well, I'm identical twin, so this could be Dr. Nick for all you know. So,
Dr. Nick Riviera. No,
Dr. Nick Riviera.
Dr. Nick.
Every surgery, $99.99.
No, I mean, what was your least favorite death in a game?
Mass Effect 3.
I can tell you what it was.
Let's go.
The original Fire Emblem game. I don't know if you guys played Fire Emblem, but I hated this death. So there's a character that it's a really cool character, Matthew. He's the only thief in the game, so he can steal stuff for you. And you get through this game, and he's got this like fiance or wife or girlfriend, whatever. Throughout the whole game, he's like keeping tabs on her, making sure she's safe. And then right towards the middle of the game, it's kind of like a climactic where you think it's the end of the game, but it's not. She just gets killed right off, like in the middle of nowhere. And then that character, Matthew, has to grieve over it. And I don't remember her name, it's like Leia. It doesn't matter what her name actually is. You just know that he cared for her deeply. And then later on, the guy that killed her joins your team, and like he's gotten over the grief and he's accepted the fact that it was a really strange sequence. But I hate that death because Matthew's like the best character in the game, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry if I spoiled that for you.
You just ruined the game.
I bought him the game and I forgot he hasn't finished it yet.
Worst
But
death.
it's crazy because he goes through and like there's a whole chapter where you can win half of them on your team because it's like a strategic war game, and then several chapters go by and he's like getting over it, and then when the other guy joins your team, the guy that killed her, you're like, oh boy, stuff's gonna go down. Like you think because they play it out in like dialogue a lot, and you think it's gonna go down, and no, he's accepted the fact that it was a job for this guy. He's an assassin. That's literally his career in the game.
Yeah.
And he was protecting another little girl who wasn't anybody's fiance. She's too young to be somebody's fiance in that game. But he's actually pretty honorable, which is interesting to bring that full circle. The assassin's name is Jafar.
And he fought Aladdin. It was so
the lamb.
He's got a
Will,
little-
I'm
he's got a
sorry. It
little
seems like every
bird
time you're
named
trying to
Iago.
talk, Will, we interrupt you. So
No,
I'm
it's
going to
totally
give you some space here to feel free to talk about
He's
your
like,
least
I'm gonna
favorite.
lean back.
I'm waiting, Will.
Thanks.
I'm waiting after you, man. Let's go.
Yeah,
Let's do
no.
this.
So I don't have anything special to say. So mostly
you
it's just
do.
frustrating or dumb ones that like weren't earned, I guess. So I mean, Halo 3 comes to mind.
Sergeant
after you brought up-
Johnson.
It wasn't Sergeant Johnson. I thought that was okay. But like
Oh.
Miranda dying, I was just like, I didn't feel
That was
anything. Like,
dumb.
why'd that happen? She didn't shoot everyone that's around her. She just stood there. Then when the Arbiter kills the Prophet, I also thought it's the same scene. Super dumb. Like, why doesn't he just stab him immediately? It's like he gives this whole speech. It's like, why? Why is this happening right now? And then, even though I said I really liked the Walking Dead series, like almost every single time you have to choose between two characters, it makes no sense. Because like, just crawl away or like save both of them. I don't understand. Like, there's one walker and it's going so slowly. So there's a lot of those kind of types of games, and there's also some just like I had no connection to the character, so it's just like I don't care that they died. But I guess most of the games I play are again like power fantasies. So the main character is just going through and mowing everyone down. So like I guess when I die, it's frustrating. And it's like, I think those are cheap deaths because the game cheated me, obviously, because I'm perfect at games. So. What about you, Billy?
Oh, dude, Mass Effect, the whole series, every part of Mass Effect ever. Because my thing is like, let Shepard die, dude. Like, there is so many times you die in the second game, you die in the third game, you die multiple times in the third game, you get haunted by all of the deaths in the third game. Like, you have dreams of death in the third game, and then they're like, all right, here's the trailer for a brand new one, and they're reviving you again, and like, let the man just be dead, dude.
They need to change his name to Lazarus at this point. Like
I
that's
know.
literally got to be his name.
But I think that would like a lot of it had to do with definitely the third, like with the ending for it though, for sure. Like everyone kind of knew, like at least like playing through in my eyes, like Shepard was gonna die. Like you knew playing the whole thing, you're like, he's here to die. And like then they get to the end and you're like, all right, man, like cool, you get to die. And then it's just like some kid comes out and is like, hey, like it's not heroic, like you're gonna die by yourself on this like little ship and just fall on Earth and get covered up by ash and no one's gonna remember you. And you're like, all right, cool, man. Like I just fucking did all this work to gather all these forces and
just save the Krogans, you know what I mean?
yeah, just cured the genophage and
That's
did all
it.
this
Go out
fun
there and
stuff. It's whatever, man. I don't need to be
I
remembered.
love, just real quick, I love the fact that there's that choice to kill an entire race for Shepard in the middle of the first game. You know, with the spider, the arachnids. It was totally an Ender's Game moment for me. I was like, oh man, kill the queen of the bugs or let them live.
The Rachni have done nothing wrong. They're the
know.
coolest people, and like, and then in the third game, like if you get the little galactic war, like it shows you what's going on. It's like, oh, the Rachni like send all their drones.
The
to help you
space
fight the
spiders
war.
are coming to save you.
Yeah.
What
It's
a
a giant
cool
queen
message.
spider.
Make me Spider-Man, please.
All I can think of now is StarCraft. Now my brain is going to StarCraft, and actually there was a really cool death in that. The Protoss King guy that they thought was a traitor, and he ends up like saving them all in the game. Everybody remember that? And like they had like the badass rider. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna come in here in my big car. Come on in, take you down there. Whatever his name was, Ryder, wasn't it? It was Ryder. I think so. He was like the Terran or whatever you want to say. But I Actually, I know I'm going to get a lot of flack for this. I'm sorry, you're going to get the comments galore here. Until Dawn for me was like, I didn't get it. I didn't like the deaths. I felt like it was a horrible 90s sitcom that just ended wrongly, and you were just in the wrong place at the wrong time. Like, I was getting in the ski lift, and I was like, I don't want to go down the ski lift. I want to go back. Like, I don't want to deal with these people anymore. And maybe I didn't understand. I think I kind of rushed a lot of like the XXXXX because it seemed like the conversation was just not what I wanted.
Benny, did you let him die in Until Dawn?
What's that?
Did you let them die in Until Dawn?
I you know what? And I think that was. I'll be honest. I think that's why I'm so mad about it because I think I ruined everybody in that game. And I remember going in the butterfly room and I'm like, what are we doing here? It was very catty. It was very like, you like him, but we're not going to tell him. No, and then you're getting out in this like work shed, and there's like a saw thing going on, and you're like, okay, what just happened? I just came off the ski lift. You know, I was just here for a good ski time, you know. But that game did nothing for me, and I hate it because like everybody loves it. Every time
you're talking about the horror one,
where
you have to
with
make
the skull and
that was a great game.
I guess.
I had that for a second. He said the name of the game, and I'm looking up, like, what is he talking about?
I'm waiting for the blurbs to come up. Like, get him off the show. This is yet again.
You won't get that here. I would probably bet most of the people watching right now probably haven't played that game. To be fair,
Until Dawn,
probably not.
And if you haven't, don't. It's not worth your time.
Go listen. Everyone go play that game.
Dude,
go
I'm
play
making a clip out of this one. This is
don't go on the
Until
ski
Dawn
lift.
clip.
Just don't go on the ski lift.
Why you should never play Until Dawn? Benny shares it all.
Oh no, go play.
You guys can bring me on for just an Until Dawn playthrough.
Yes. Let's do it.
Now, wait a minute. Am I correct here? Didn't Until Dawn have a VR game too? Like a Carnival of Blood or something like that? I can't remember the name, but
Rush of Blood. Yep. Yes,
Rush of Blood. There we go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but no, the original game was fantastic.
Yeah.
I thought the CGI was great. I thought the voice acting was great. Multiple deaths. Wendigo's in it. Like, you're crazy.
You're crazy. It was a fake abominable
Wendigo's
situation.
It wasn't. Oh my god.
Yeah, I don't know
if
if they call them
Benny,
Wendigo.
no.
That's essentially what part of what's plaguing them.
It is. Yep, dead right.
Again, everything was going bad, and they still decided to have this like little like outing. Like, okay, everything's hunky-dory. Come on up to the butterfly room.
It's like raining blood from the sky, and they're like, we'll still go camping.
Yeah, come on. What is this? Bad.
It's the only time they could get work off. Come on.
It got a 7.5 out of 10.
Here we go. Man. Oh, 5 out of 10. That's 5 more than I would give it.
Oh. Damn it.
7.5.
No, it's 7 out of 10.
Oh,
5
7.
Out of 10.
Yeah, I'd give it a 2.
Actually, I don't know how to rate. Get out of here.
And first question, what makes Until Dawn so good? See, you're already disproven.
I tell you, they probably didn't go up in the flower room. That's probably what happened. I probably did like when they were making the game, and you know how you can do like 1,000 different choices. They're like, nobody's gonna do these choices, and that was me.
Play Until Dawn. See,
yeah,
there it is.
Thank you, Kel.
I have never played the game.
It's a great. I'm telling you, you'll love it. If you like horror films, you will enjoy it. There's pop out scenes. It's funny at times, sad at times. It's great. It's great.
My favorite horror game is Dead Rising. Does that count?
Oh, yeah.
It's a good game. It's a great game.
Okay.
I
love Dead Rising. It's my favorite.
I started playing Resident Evil 7, and I got to the part where they chop your hand off. I was like, he's dead. Like, the game's over now. Like, what? Why? You can't come back from that. It's like, this is
I just put it back on, dude.
I don't know. He had some pretty bad luck in that game. I can tell you.
Oh my gosh.
And
Well, it's also like as soon as his girlfriend like started going freaky, I'm like, I'm leaving. I'm just gonna break out of the window. I'm not gonna try to save her. It's totally unrealistic.
My man just doesn't have a good life, dude. Ethan Winters is
like,
not doing okay.
No.
He's like, babe, call a priest. You need an exorcism. I'm out.
I probably would have stopped going when he was going through the tunnel and there's like zombies coming out of the water. It's like, I'm done. Okay, I guess that relationship's over.
Dude, when I showed up to the house, I would be leaving. Like, if I would have looked at the, like, I've been like, well, save yourself. I'm sorry.
Not
I
worth
can't do
it.
this.
Well, especially because you just came from a horrible experience, right? So, like, you know what? Do it twice. You know what? The first time doesn't work. the second time's gonna work.
Ethan's one of those I need a rush kind of guys. Like he's like, I just need something good going for me, you
Need
know?
my arm to cut off again.
Get my
Yeah.
arm chopped off. That really gets me going.
I thought it was gonna be like a dream sequence or something. It's like, no, his arm's
His
gone.
arm's done.
He's dead.
He's like, okay, I'll just like reattach it.
Yeah, it's just like this
Just
doesn't make
takes it back on.
It worked for Luke in Star Wars. It'll work for me.
Oh, yeah, man. Luke got a
Yeah, that's
better. I
definitely
think
what
didn't
happened
his
in Star
hand become
Wars.
better.
Oh,
I think the
Yeah, Anakin,
droid man
right?
was better or something. I don't know.
Was it
Right.
like chainsaw in Resident Evil? Like, you're not coming back. It's just no.
no.
Gets that death grip when he gets that new arm.
Yeah.
Oh crap!
He
I
had that
strangled
kung
you
fu
in one
grip
hit.
right there. That's what it was.
All right.
Oh man,
I got a question for you guys now. Let's move on to this next one here. What games do you think handled death, Majora's Mask, really well? Understanding like what death was and like kind of walk through the stages of grief well.
I'm gonna fight Majora's Mask, but let's go. Let's do it.
all jokes aside, here we go. Here's number 2 blurb that's going to kill this show. Majora's Mask is the best
I agree.
Zelda game.
I agree.
Yeah,
100%.
that's a good
Better
one.
than Ocarina in Time.
Yes.
Wind Waker
Yeah.
was a nightmare for me. I
Get outta
couldn't
here.
figure out
What do
the
you-
flying pedal thing, and that
What?
just drove me nuts.
I like Wind Waker, but I'll give you a pass because you said Majora's Mask the best.
Majora's Mask is it's hard, and that's what makes it. We already said we're Bloodborne people, so the idea that you have to play Zelda in a timed fashion, learn
3
these
days,
songs,
right? You got 3 days to do it, and it gets progressively worse throughout the course of the 3 days. No,
Stressful.
Majora's Mask, and you have the Skull Moon, which is incredible. You have
the kid that like
the masks themselves are great. You have all these different masks that you can wear throughout the course of the game.
the chocobos.
Yeah, Majora's Mask is unbelievable. The Skull Child, is that his name? With the
Yeah, Skull Kid. Skull Kid.
Skull Kid, yeah.
Oh, Skull Kid. Yeah.
That's a great.
Yeah,
The worst part about
less
that is the
annoying
guy who's
fairies,
got
though.
the balloon.
Wait, what?
The guy who's got the balloon.
Tingle.
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 Fucking
Oh my
Tingle.
gosh.
He's a hero, man.
He's like,
Hey, funny story. Funny story. Captain Toad's Treasure Tracker was originally supposed to be a Zelda game, and I believe it was Tingle that was supposed to be the explorer.
I'd have bought it.
Sounds
I'd have
about
bought
right.
it so fast.
What
Yeah.
was he exploring? You know what I mean?
I don't know.
creepy map.
He was Spladunkin somewhere.
Anyway, it ended up with Captain Toad, much more kid friendly.
Best game to go through death. That's tough.
Oh, dude.
Because you can't say Sally Field, because that's the real 5 stages of grief, all in one scene. But that's a movie, so we got to stay away from that. Game wise, the best stages of grief. I'll go back to The Last of Us and The Evil Within. He goes through some very, very mental things. In Last of Us, he refathers again, which I think is incredible. And he actually has this relationship with Ellen Page or whatever her character's name is. Who knows? It's Ellen Page, right? It's Juno.
Yes.
He basically fathers Juno, and I don't know. I think it's a really well done. Evil Within is the same way. The way that he kind of comes back in it is just, I don't know. That would be mine.
I'm not going to say this is my favorite or best, but one that does come to mind right off the bat is, I believe it's Call of Duty Advanced Warfare. You're at a military funeral. I thought that was pretty cool, the way that they handled that. You're going around and interacting with the different people at the funeral. And if I'm not mistaken, is it your dad? I think that dies. And then basically like Kevin Spacey's character kind of becomes your surrogate father, essentially. I just remember the funeral scene where you can walk around and they have like a graveside set funeral. And I thought that was really cool. And the other thing I wanted to bring up too, it's not technically the game, but Dead Island had an amazing trailer.
Oh my gosh, the best.
The trailer, yeah.
Right, the slow motion going in back, and that right at the end, the dad and the daughter's hands. Like
Oh my
I always
gosh, yeah.
like that is emotional every time I see that and hear that. I thought that was really cool too. It's
And
good
the
for
music
trailer.
composed for that was perfect. Like that is probably the one video game trailer that I would say there is nothing I would change about that trailer, other than the game sucked.
Ah,
Yikes!
it was.
I mean, it's
all
no
right.
Until Dawn, but what are you gonna
No, listen. Benny, we were so close before this. Now it's just
It's okay. It's Billy, Benny. One of us has got to go down in flames. So, it'll be me. It's fine. I was gonna. Oh, I just had it and I lost. Billy, thanks.
Yeah,
I lost my train of thought.
I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry.
I'll jump in then. So I know I already gave an answer, but Ori, so the Will of the Wisps, the first one, the Blind Forest, when the mom dies. Oh my gosh, it's like the very first 30 seconds of the game too. And then I don't know if this really counts, but Hellblade, the whole thing is how. Has anyone played Hellblade?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Hell yeah.
All right. So, okay, it's an experience. I think that's the best way of describing it. Definitely play with your headphones on, and it's really deals with mental illness, but also grief, and that's the entire game. And you can. What's really cool about that game is you can believe everything that's happening or not. So that's really cool. But anyway, it's really well done.
Hell yeah, it is, dude.
Yeah, and that's the whole game is her dealing with the death of her boyfriend or husband. I can't remember what it is. Friend.
There's that scene in, I don't remember which Metal Gear Solid it is, because the game itself is like a movie where you play 10 minutes in it.
Yeah, that sounds like Metal Gear Solid.
Where he walks with Silver Snake, and one's in a wheelchair. And I just thought that was a really beautifully done scene. But like I said, it was a movie that they were like, hey, how can we make a lot of money and give the players 10 minutes of gameplay? Because I remember playing it, and you would literally they so it starts with a movie, and then you start playing, and then 10 minutes later, every 10 minutes there would be a 30-minit scene of something. And I remember I gotta use the restroom, but I don't want to miss this, but you could. Mm-hmm. And I remember I beat it because I don't know why at that point, but I got to the end, and I mean, it was worth it just for that scene where they're odd couple at that point, right? You finally got me, but now we're just friends because we're both old, and we were both ninjas at a time and doing crazy things. Mm. You were hiding in a box in the locker most of the time.
That sounds great, but there's also the Metal Gear when you the guys killing bees.
Yeah.
What's that?
There's a Metal Gear game and there's a cutscene when the guy's killing bees by twirling his guns really fast. That's my favorite Metal Gear Solid. There's
that ninja that saves you in Metal Gear. I can't remember which one. Where he's in this weird robotic suit thing, and Liquid says something about a fox and something, and he ends up shooting the main machine off the gun so you can escape, or off the machine so you can. I don't remember, but that's a cool scene too. Metal Gear was cool. It was a cool game. It was.
I've still only played Metal Gear Survive, so I know I'm missing out.
Oh no!
Whoa!
What a one to jump in on, Chris. Oh my god!
I got a friend that plays it. He wants me to play with it.
I didn't like it, but I actually played it. You know what I mean?
I got to
Does Metal Gear Survive not count?
No, not at all, Chris.
Let's just move on then.
I gotta steal one though. There's two, and one is definitely everyone's gonna freak out in the comments, and the other one I really really like because it's really genuine. But SpiderMan, when spoiler alert, if you haven't played SpiderMan, please go. I will say this before every time. SpiderMan, when Aunt May dies, and he has the choice right before to make that decision of saving the entire city or literally just saving Aunt May. And
you pick Aunt May every time.
I know, but he didn't. And it's so sad. It kills me every time, dude. Because you just see that him going through the fast stages of grief at that moment when he's processing with Aunt May, and you're like, holy shit, dude. He has to make this selfless sacrifice. It's so fucking sad. The whole scene is just him accepting her death, and it's incredibly sad.
You made me think of another one, so when you're done, I'm gonna jump in with.
Oh hell yeah, because the next one's controversial. So okay, Last of Us 2. Hear me out. So Last of Us 2, literally when Joel again, spoiler alert, when Joel dies and gets his head beat in with the golf club, and then the entire game, whether people liked it or not, I'm not here to fight on it, but I did think it was really cool to watch Ellie's character literally go through the state, literally going from this insane revenge driven person to by the end of it being somebody that's accepting almost. and then watching the other characters around like that death like slowly kind of turn into something different, and literally going through the stages of grief as she's like going on the adventure, which is, again, I know not everyone liked the game, but it was really cool to see like that fucking go through.
I just didn't like that she couldn't play the guitar at the end.
Okay, well, she didn't exactly have all the digits to do so, my man.
Didn't like
That's
that.
true. It's man, you know, when the shoe fits, you know, you gotta wear it.
All right, can I
What
jump
was
into
that
some
zombie that would make the weird noises and you couldn't make any sound whatsoever?
Clicker?
Oh,
Oh, dude, I hate him.
I
All
do
right,
too.
I'm gonna jump in here with your superhero decision. All right, there's a game that really faked me out hard the first time I played it. I'm sure some of you have played Infamous, the first one.
Yes.
There's a decision in the middle of the game where I think Kessler makes you make it, but it could have been somebody underneath Kessler, where they have the group of doctors that could save people, and then his wife Trish on each different building. I think they're hanging from the building's gonna explode or something along those lines. And no matter which one you pick, Trish dies.
Yeah.
No matter which one, whether you go to save her or whether you go to save the doctors, it's Kessler's like, I knew which one you were gonna pick, and I killed her anyway. It's like, what the? I was just testing your morality. It's like, what? But that one threw me for a loop. It was like, because no matter what you do, this character that your main character cares about dies no matter what. And then the whole game is like it's a mix between him avenging her and saving the city.
You got to do that in Biohazard too, in Resident Evil. You got to pick between your wife or who's the other one, and the boat. You got to give one of them a shot. Yeah, those are always because you know what I mean. There's part of you that's like, this is just a game. It's just a game, okay? It's just a game,
Right.
you know. But there's also part of you that's like, yeah, I wasn't gonna save that one anyways. So,
Chris, piggybacking off of your Infamous, the Second Son, there's a scene where your older brother
The
dies.
third one.
Right. I'm sorry. Yes. Yes. Right. There's a
so
scene.
I'm sorry.
No, he's
everybody
right.
out
It's
there.
the third one. There's a scene where your older brother dies, and throughout the course of the game, everybody's like, "We don't like him. He's a graffiti artist. He's a little punk kid." But your brother is always on your side. He's always looking out for you. He's always protecting and defending you. So there's a scene where, again, spoiler, sorry, the evil villain who looks like
I cannot think of her name though. I know what it is, but my
looks
brain's
like
not
Carrie
getting there.
Fisher. I know it's not, but she looks
She
like
does
Carrie
not look like Carrie Fisher.
Dare you bring Princess?
She really
Leia
does. No,
into
I
this.
swear, play the game. She looks like Carrie Fisher.
I don't
and
think
anyway,
so.
she has the ability to
Do this with her hands?
no, well, this.
Really emphasize your sentences.
Summon, materialize, however you want to say it. She can do
Bibbidi
rock
bobbidi
stuff,
boo.
right? She basically covers him in rock, and he falls and sinks to the bottom of this
Augustine.
water and dies. And like you're like, no, and you're like trying to save your
Augustine.
brother, and you can't.
And then he becomes Thing.
That was really tough. That was
the thing,
tough,
exactly.
Dude, that is
tough-
a really tough one, man.
That
Second Son
one,
was
I was very angry when they did that. No, this woman does not look like Carrie Fisher. I'm gonna pull her up right now.
Oh my gosh! Thank you.
That
That's
is not
definitely.
Carrie
even thought-
Fisher.
nobody's
Gosh,
even thought
bro.
about Second Son in decades,
I don't know,
man.
man.
I
I
just
see a little bit of
platinum
Carrie
Second
Fisher
Son
there.
this year.
I think you're fishing for Carrie Fisher.
No,
Crillcast.
I'm sorry. I disagree with you. I don't think this woman bears any resemblance to Carrie Fisher.
Oh,
That's my personal opinion. I just don't think so. I just platinumed this game this past year, actually.
Oh, you're
Somebody's
now
thought
we're
of it.
throwing the platinums out because we platinum Bloodborne, so everybody's got to throw their platinums in the
No,
table.
I just have platinumed all of the Infamous games except the first one.
I have 100% in one game as The Walking Dead because you get it when you finish the game.
yeah, me too, dude.
I honestly, to be honest, that series, the Wolf Among Us was the
Telltale.
a Telltale Wolf Among Us.
100%. I
So
love
cool.
Wolf Among Us.
So
Among Us
good.
was
Really
the
good.
game.
It was so good.
And they
There's a
did
lot
it.
of death in that game.
Borderlands one was great too. The Borderlands
Yeah,
one
Tales
was
of
one.
yeah, Tales of Borderlands was
Spoiler,
good.
except for Scooter dies in it, which that's another death.
Scooter? Scooter.
Catch a ride.
Catch a ride.
He
Yeah.
dies.
Catch a ride.
Catch
I
a
love that
ride.
so
He
much.
dies. And that was really sad because he dies,
Yeah.
I believe, saving the group, if I remember
Well,
correctly.
you could treat him like complete crap, and then he dies saving you, and you just feel like an idiot after that. Like it's such a jerk.
Oh,
Yeah, it was
man.
sad.
You could be so you could like literally play this guy for all of his money, and then he still sacrifices himself to save you.
You do have to kill the bird in 3, and that's really hard on the sniper. Right?
Yeah.
In 3?
Oh, Borderlands 3.
Yeah,
Dude.
I'm a huge Borderlands fan.
I haven't played 3 yet.
I already pre-did Tiny Tina's Wonder World.
that one
Hell
looks
yeah,
good, yeah.
dude. Speaking of Borderlands, Roland, dude, that fucking still like hurts my heart every time I think about it in Borderlands 2. This is fucking sad.
It just
scene.
crushes me that you have to kill Handsome Jack. You know, that's
Dude,
he's
I'd
such
shoot
a-
him in the
he's such a
face
good
so many
guy.
times for killing Roland. I would. Oh my god, man, I'm over it. He's dead to
Honestly,
me.
Claptrap's got to go. I know that's. Here we go. Here's
No,
another one.
okay.
Here's another one.
You are throwing hot takes, man. You are just. The audience is like, why is he saying this?
I don't. He's so annoying, and he always makes you do the birthday thing, and you're always like, I don't want to spend 10 minutes doing this damn birthday thing. Claptrap.
Nobody shows up. He has no friends. You have to be there.
It's just you.
And he loves you unconditionally.
Maybe.
He is an institution.
Maybe he
in
is
the
really the.
Borderlands
Maybe he is really the villain, and nobody sees.
He has no friends. You're his only friend the entire
Do you
game.
blame him? Do you blame him in that world?
Wow.
Gosh Almighty!
He can't even be in the last boss fight because he can't go upstairs in the
Right, he
second
can't go
game, dude.
He makes
How are you going to be pissing on Claptrap in this podcast?
He's probably the same guy that says, "Screw R2D2, get him out of Star Wars."
dude.
Well, actually-
I'm being honest. Okay, we're being open. We're talking about death. I'm telling you my experience with the games. Dawn is just not great.
Stop.
Okay, let's get to the next thing I had here.
Okay.
What death in a video game was the most satisfying for you? You're like, man, I'm so happy this happened. Like, this is something that needed to happen the whole game, and finally we're here.
Killing a dog in Resident Evil.
What? Why? What is happening? This is insane.
Dude, I hated when you got to dogs because you never had the right. I would have it on like it would be the flashing red. I'm like, dude, it's fine. I got 2 dogs to get through. It's no big deal. And the dogs would get. I had no problem with the lizard frog things, but the second the stupid dogs came out, dude, they were hard to shoot, especially when you're like. And then you would be in that weird angle between the two like scenes, the cuts. So you were like, I don't know where this dog is anymore. I did the whistle. I did the effing whistle. I know he's out here. Dude, the dogs, man. Hissers were so much, or the lickers were so much easier than the damn dogs.
The lickers?
Oh yeah, dude.
The lickers,
Yeah.
the ones with the big tongues.
Yeah, tongues.
I think they're
Oh,
called
okay.
lickers. Yeah.
I
just-
don't know. I haven't played that one.
You started the sentence with killing the dogs in Resident Evil, and I was
my
just like,
gosh.
it's like, geez, man.
It's like you got PETA trying
That
to
was
cancel the podcast
satisfying.
here.
Which Call of Duty was it when the dogs would attack you and you snap their neck? That always hurt me every time.
Oh,
it
I
happened.
hated that. That was it at World at War or was it Black Ops?
I don't remember which one it was. Maybe it was a couple of them.
Yeah, I think it might have been because I remember Black Ops.
I
I'm
remember
pretty
that.
sure
And I
you
didn't
could
like that.
do.
I
Yeah.
did not like that at all because you hear it like it's like ooh. Right?
Yeah,
I
and
don't
if
like
when you
that.
shot them from a distance, they would whimper a little bit. It's like, oh, I don't like that.
I didn't want to do this. Don't make me do this.
See, that impacted me more
those
than
dogs
the
were mean.
terrorist scene.
No, they didn't. I did not. Hey, let's move on from the terrorist scene. I don't want to talk. I don't want to dredge that back up.
What's the sniper game where you got to shoot Hitler? That was a pretty cool kill.
Sniper
There was
Elite.
a sniper.
Yeah.
Was that Sniper Elite?
Yep.
I remember my buddy Justin got that, and I remember him being like, "Oh, I got this like I don't know if it was a pre-order bonus or what, but he's like, I have basically a map where I can go and I can kill Hitler." And it was cool because they had that basically like the X-ray scene where you could see the bullet enter and exit.
Oh, that's
And I'm pretty sure I saw him shoot Hitler in the crotch.
Yeah, in the testicle.
Yeah, you could.
Sure.
It was.
I'm not making this up. I'm pretty sure you can. I mean,
Yeah.
you don't really.
I gotta
Yeah,
look
but
it
it's-
up.
The area like of
It's the
impact.
Mortal Kombat though.
I was like,
like
you
they
just
like
shot
zoom
Hitler
in.
in the dick.
Sniper Elite
that was
2, man.
cool.
Pre-order bonus for
We
it.
fixed
That was
all of
wild.
history.
Was that a pre-order bonus?
You can,
Yep.
oh my
Hitler
gosh,
mission?
there's videos.
Yes, it was.
There's videos. It's real. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's
I've never
I
seen
think,
this.
I think like somebody like spent the time to like do the 1,000 ways you can kill Hitler. Like literally, I watched like a minute of it, and then I was like, okay, I get it.
Oh,
You, like shoot the
man.
chandelier above his head. You know.
Yeah, yeah.
Light the candle on fire slowly when he falls asleep. The candle falls off the door stand. Boom. Catches on fire. Everything goes on fire. He's dead. Slow death or fast death? Which is it gonna be? All right, moving on from that. Who's next?
I don't think I went that yet either. But I don't know which one the most satisfying deaths are. Usually I'm just so exasperated like it's a bad. Sorry, my dog's squeezing
I
a
thought
duck
that was
right
a
now.
duck.
Oh, it is. It's my dog squeezing a duck. Yeah, that's exactly what's happening.
Oh, that's really.
He's killing the duck right now. Speaking of death, he's already presented me with one squeaker toy.
Oh,
Anyway, so it's usually like I'm so exasperated by the time I get to like I kill a boss because I honestly I'm pretty terrible at video games. So it'll take me like 20 tries to kill something. I mean, usually at the end it's like, oh thank God, and I just go on to the next thing. So I can't think of anything super. I can't think of one right now.
No, I can tell you what was satisfying for you, Will. You
One.
messaged me the second you finished your first Cuphead boss.
Oh my gosh!
Oh,
Oh, Cuphead. Oh God, I hate
Texted me,
that game.
I beat a boss in Cuphead, and then he goes, "Oh shit, it was on easy."
Yeah, there's two modes, and I didn't realize I couldn't
Game battle
progress on
is
the
about
lower one.
I'll never
God.
forget that. It was like I was super excited, and he was like, "Oh no, it's easy."
Yeah, I was so disappointed that I didn't unlock anything else after killing. Oh gosh, it took me like 40 minutes to an hour for one boss. It was the first one.
I still want to play that live with you sometime just to see how that
As
goes.
long
You
as
guys
you don't get
should.
me
Oh my
cussing the
God.
whole time.
Actually, can I go back real quick? The most satisfying death was killing Riddler. Finally, after you do all the Riddler stuff,
That's
Oh,
fair, that's
Riddler.
fair.
and he goes
I
down in the
respect
he
that.
goes down. He's like, "I'm gonna escape forever," and he like ducks under, and you're like, "What?" And then you have to like literally like platinum the game basically to get Riddler back, so you can like fight him at the end. I don't think you kill him, but it's Batman. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
close enough. I'm with it.
Accidental kill.
It's an accidental.
It's an
Yeah.
accidental kill.
He slipped and fell and broke his neck. I get you. I feel
The
it.
only time I've ever seen Batman killing things is in Batman versus Superman.
Yeah, it's
Which was
every
so dumb.
Batman
civilian.
used to kill people all the time in the comics.
He did. He definitely did. Kai Lang from Mass Effect 3, I have never replayed a scene so many times in my life where I just, after he kills Thane, like, I'm like, bro, I don't even care. I'll literally I'm gonna reload this scene every time so I get the little satisfying where he tries to sneak up with you with a sword and you're like, oh yeah, cool, like get me. And then you just like grab his sword and shoot him in the face every time. Every single time. Oh, never
Billy,
forget it.
you said spoilers for every other game that was that.
I
All
don't
games
care.
say
If you
for
haven't
Mass-
played Mass Effect by now, go play Mass Effect. That is a treasure. Go play it.
Other than the ending.
Oh yeah, don't play the ending. Pretend just quit like when you get the Marauder shields.
It's a great game, but the ending sucks.
It's like the greatest trilogy ever to end in a poof. It's like,
I know.
okay.
They were incredible games. They really were. They
Yeah.
really were.
Like,
Are we okay on
it's-
that? Am I not gonna get yelled at for saying
No,
that at
They
this
were
point?
incredible games.
That was
They
a
are
solid
incredible
thing.
games.
I recommend that to anybody who likes that style of game.
Yeah.
Definitely play that one. Yeah, I warn everybody, the ending was kind of meh. After
Yeah.
all that greatness, and then it's just
Yeah,
like,
it's
what were
anticlimactic.
you
for sure.
doing, EA? And then
But
they
the
had,
le-
can we just break off into one thing I've always wanted to discuss on a podcast? Do you guys know what the indoctrination theory was for Mass Effect?
Yes, dude. The only thing that made sense for the
It
ending.
was the only thing that made sense.
Ah.
You guys know what I'm
Explain it.
talking about?
No, I don't know.
Okay. Do you want to go into it, Chris? I can
I'll
go
do
into
it.
the whole.
I
Okay,
got
go
it. I
for
got
it.
it.
You got this.
So, like, the whole theory is that the whole game, Shepard is being indoctrinated by the Reapers, which is what happened to what's his name?
Saren.
And by the end of it, he is actually indoctrinated, and basically, no matter what happens, like that beam's going to get fired, but that you can break out of indoctrination with a specific thing or sequence or whatever. And either way you do it, the machines essentially you need to destroy the machines. I guess is the idea, right, Billy?
Yep.
So you can break the indoctrination, but you die no matter what. That was the idea.
That's the thing that's wild is like that. So for everybody that has played it or hasn't played it, like when the reason that it like makes sense is because you touch the beacon in the first game,
Right.
and like that's what basically started the indoctrination for a lot of people. And then in the third game, you start seeing the visions of like death.
The little
like,
boy, right?
Yeah, and you start seeing the little boy, and then you get onto the Citadel. When you go to pick the red, blue, or green, we're definitely going to have way more endings than this choices. And the little boy pops up again, and it makes no sense because like there was never any mention of the catalyst. There's just so many things that made no sense. But if you put the indoctrination theory into play, like every part of the game makes sense, and you're like, oh, but then EA was like, no, that didn't happen, man. Like, cool fan theory. But everybody was like, Okay.
Like this ending makes no sense now, EA. Why wouldn't you just give it to the fans for figuring it out?
Ah, man.
All right. Anyways, sorry. I hate that. I mean, that is one of the things that was so disappointing. I would have been more angry about them acknowledge. Well, I'm sorry. Let me rephrase that. I am more angry that they acknowledged the theory being a good idea and then dismissed it than if they had just ignored it entirely.
Oh, absolutely. Or said, we're not going to say one way or the other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that would have been fine too.
Yeah, that would have been great. Then Mass Effect Andromeda. Cool. Good times.
Yeah.
Okay. Next question. As far as death goes in gaming, what do you think the effect of multiplayer deaths and different game modes has had on people's thoughts on death? Like, for example, there's a game mode in when not search and destroy. It's the one where you only get one life per round. I'm trying to think what it's called. It's a Call of Duty mode. You know what I'm talking about, right?
I know what you're talking about.
It's not SWAT. It's shoot. I'm gonna have to look it up now. But anyways, as far as multiplayer goes, where you respawn like crazy, but what do you think the effect of it has been on people killing each other in the games? Like, you're literally killing people across the world all the time in these games. What do you think the impact of that has been? Do you think people are more connected or less connected based on those game modes? And do you think the effect of like having limited lives in a multiplayer match is better or worse?
I mean, I like it better because you don't have to deal with the kid that probably ruins the game because you could take him out immediately. But I don't know.
Billy, are you one of those people that become level 50 before I get into the multiplayer?
No, I'm the guy who still needs help
the
aiming.
reason you have to say that? Is that...
Benny, it's all these hot takes. I immediately was like,
I am telling you.
We're lining up after this. I'm getting your gamer tag, and we
small group of resistance gamers that are gonna be like, he spoke for us. He's spoken the truth. Book of Benny will be the next. Actually, hashtag the Book of Benny.
Please.
The Book of Boba Fett just came out, so you can double it. You know, you can add a little bit. Sorry, Disney. Oh, sorry, Disney might interrupt us now.
It might be search and destroy. I might have been right when I said that.
I honestly, as my belief on does it change death in games, whether they die 1,000 times or 100 times or 10 times? I don't really think. I honestly, Chris, I don't think it changes anything really.
No,
not my. No. Now I will say this: if you're playing Sonic, and you put the best player as Tails, because even if he dies, he's still gonna fly back in. You know what I mean? So be smart about it. You know.
I respect it.
Give the worst player Sonic, but tell him just to stay in the back. You know what I mean?
Can we talk about wireless
controllers
those little tricks and them dying?
Tails?
Can we talk about wireless controllers dying? Is that a death thing we can talk about?
Oh my god!
Batteries die in the middle of a game. It's like, oh my god!
Is it just me, or is PlayStation 5 controllers worse?
Oh, don't get me. Don't let
I think it's just you.
PlayStation 5 controllers last like a minute.
Actually, no, dude, Benny, I'm gonna side with you on that one because I use mine to watch TV all the time, and like it's.
I don't know if it's just like I don't know. I've not had good luck with one of my PlayStation 5 controllers, and you would think they would be boss. I thought PlayStation 4 controllers were spot on almost, and it's like the new one, you would think 5 would be like solar powered, and for what you were spending and waiting. So okay, can we talk about that? The death of how you cannot get a system when it comes out. Can we talk about that? Can we go into that a little bit?
Listen, man, I left GameStop the minute that PS5 came out.
Oh my gosh! Well, that was I was like, Chris, can you get your job back just so you can get me a PlayStation 5? You know, mighty. That was a nightmare. That was an absolute nightmare. Yeah. But I guess PlayStation were smart because they knew we would just be dumb enough to wait and try again. Literally, my sister-in-law was so nice enough to do that whole bug system where they like shoot out when the new sales are coming in. And that's a nightmare because you got to have your credit card on like Walmart and Target and all this. And like, I was just sitting there, was like, This is a nightmare. I remember like PlayStation 4, it was perfect. Chris was working. I had it all set up. Sorry, GameStop. This was happening. And I had it. I didn't have any problem. I mean, I pre-sale. We did it right. Chris won't go against the channel. But I'm just saying, like, the idea that, like, people are still not getting PlayStation 5s. Like, this is ridiculous. In my opinion.
This many opportunities to buy a PlayStation 5.
I have yet to see one.
Yeah, dude. I
have one. I have
had this many opportunities to purchase one.
I can't even get a warranty exchange on mine right now, dude.
It's something I've purchased.
Stop it, Chris.
Chris is proud that he sees them and doesn't buy them. It's just like there's the rest of us now.
That's like,
what the hell?
Like so high class. Like, yeah.
Ask how many Xbox Series X's I've seen.
That's sellout. You buy a PlayStation 5, you're a sellout. You wait at least 6 years before you buy that PlayStation 5.
I've seen seven Xbox Series X's.
Yeah, because they stack up the PlayStation 5s with them.
I've seen lots of Series S's.
Oh.
I bought one. Guess who has that Xbox Series X right now?
And why is it so easy? Why is it like so easy to pick up an Xbox? It's like they're almost like trying to give them out at the corners. Like,
that's the S. The Series S is easy to get.
Damn right.
Listen, I know you really want the PlayStation, but we can give you this crappier version.
Dude, you're making that.
You're off the podcast.
I respect it, Benny. I'm on your side now.
Boy, I wish I was a PC guy, but I can't go that far. I'm not
like consoles. I like my consoles.
I like the controller. I know you can do the controller with the computer, but it's not the same. It's not the same.
Yeah, I respect it.
The funny thing too is he's bad mouthing Xboxes, but he has an Xbox One upstairs.
Yeah, I've got one right here, like 2 feet away from me.
Traitor, man. That knife is in my back.
They're really nice, like places to put your feet. Really.
Yeah, respect, dude. They heat up real fast or toasty.
For real, cut this. I'm pissed off.
They're like they're almost as good as like the Back to the Future like instant pizza machines. Like those are pretty cool.
Will's looking down. He's got his feet on his Xbox Series X. He's like, I agree. It's a great heating machine for my feet.
I actually took it out of where it was my like TV console because it was overheating. I was getting too hot.
Really? Oh, was that a problem?
Yeah, so I had to put it out on top.
Surprise.
Yeah.
Xbox is always on top. It just had to let you know.
Honestly, all jokes aside, they're comparable. It's apples to apples.
Yeah,
really.
I'm not
just
really
except PlayStation's a really good Apple, and then
yeah.
Shut up, Billy.
Well, none of that. I experienced.
He's extending the olive branch, and you just threw it back.
And from then on, I was like, Dunsky Kabunski. You had your chance. I was all on board. I loved the Gears of War games, but you just gotta. When something's better, something's better. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I would totally. The thing is, I'm looking for a PS4, and I can't find that either. So
yeah, oh my god.
Well, they're $300 still. It's like, man, for $300, you can get an Xbox
I have
Series
seen
S.
a couple of those, but it's like I could buy another, like a brand new one for the same price. This doesn't make any sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've got the PS4 Pro. I did that specifically because it has an upgraded network card in it, and it can run better with PS Vita remote play. And I pretty much exclusively use my PlayStation 4 as a remote play machine. So I'm the weird guy that does that.
Respect, though, man.
And when my Vita dies, I literally go through all the stages of grief every single time. Like I'm just sitting here with this bad boy right here. It's literally in my.
Yeah, he's been playing this whole time. No wonder you haven't been talking, Chris.
Yeah,
no.
Like...
It's and I have this really awesome case for it too, specifically to do remote play with. It's got like the bumpers and everything, extra bumpers to hit the touch screen. So the other day, I was dealing with the grief of this thing dying because the battery was shot. Now think about this: portables, right? The Switch, the Vita, the 3DS, all these portable machines. Those batteries in a lot of the newer ones are proprietary, and they're harder to get. You can't just go to like Alibaba and buy a Chinese battery and put it right in there and make it work. It doesn't always work right. I tried that once. It didn't work so well. Caught on fire. Anyways.
Burned my house down. Lost
moving
my
on from that.
Big deal.
Lost my job.
I'm just saying, like, the reality is these machines, these portable gaming things like the Switch, especially look at the Joy-Cons. Like, my goodness, like Joy-Con drift for days. These things are not going to last forever. Like, these are movable pieces of technology, and dealing with the death of a system that you love, especially the Vita, they're not making it anymore.
It's worth it.
I'm just like, I might have to go buy like 6 of them to store in a closet somewhere because I just can't deal with the idea of my Vita going away. It's my favorite handheld ever.
That was
Shout
like
out to
that was
Sony.
like
You did a
when-
good job. You just did a horrible job marketing this thing.
That was like when all of us had XP and didn't want to go to the new Windows. You know what I mean? Like XP was so good.
You
It
calling
did
me
so
a holdout from going to the next best greatest thing? Is that what you're trying to tell me?
No, because like they had
Yeah.
like
Oh, Vista was
Windows
terrible.
Me.
That's right.
they had
I like
Windows
Vista.
Me, and that was just horrid. You know what I mean?
They got rid of
I think
Clippy.
I have Windows. Like, what's the newest one that just came out?
11.
Windows 11.
Yeah, I think my computer just like asked me to update, and I was like, all right. It happened like 2 days ago.
Isn't that kind of crazy nowadays that we do that too? Like, hey, and they're like trying, like, hey, you know, listen, this is free now. Like, don't wait on this. And we're still like, I'll stay with the 10.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, when it first came
Shove
out,
your
like,
updates.
the option was just like, no, it's too much work. It's like, I can just click a button.
And let's be honest, to update, it used to be like 6 hours. Now it's like a minute.
Yeah, and you still had to get a disc for it and
And
everything.
you're still like, nah, I'm not doing
But they moved
that.
my icons, man. So this is garbage.
Dude, it's like the 11 honestly just like crunched everything.
Yeah, I
in.
know.
Yeah.
So
It looks kind of clean. I'm looking at the bar right now.
I kind of want to get back to like my whole point here. Do you remember the Red Ring of Death with the 360?
Shut up, Chris. No one cares about the
You
Vita.
know what? No. Go back. Stop. Red Ring of Death. Remember that? Red Ring of Death
Yes.
with 360?
Uh-huh.
That thing hit 360s like the plague when it came out. Remember
It
that?
happened right when I put Halo Reach in, and it was just like I remember that hurt me.
This is another time where gamers have to go through stages of grief. Your console died. You're done. You can't play until you get a new one, or you beg your parents.
I had to
if
read
you're
a book
younger
or
or whatever.
Terrible.
Yeah, you gotta
yeah,
read a
dude,
book.
right?
Switch to
Stupid.
PlayStation. Whatever. I actually switched to PlayStation for a while after my Red Ring. It wasn't my first 360, but it was one after that. We had bought one of those intercool systems, and it turns out those are not great for the actually cooling the Xbox 360. They actually destroyed our Xbox 360. It melded with it became one with the Xbox 360. That's how bad it was. It literally melted itself to it. So we called up Microsoft and said, "Hey, like, can we get in on this Red Ring of Death thing and get a new Xbox 360?" Like, yeah, ship it out to us. They're like, we didn't do this. This is not our doing. This is clearly the fault of the intercooler system. It literally melted and fused to your Xbox. Like, what the? It was so bad.
They sent me a different Xbox back, and that always bothered me. So, like, I had a 360 Elite, and when I sent mine out, and the new one that came back, it didn't have a clicky sound anymore on the button when you turned it on. And that bothered the hell out of me.
That does make the difference, though, dude. Like, truthfully, it just felt way better. I totally understand.
Yeah, like, I'm actually kind of getting upset about it right now.
I'm grieving right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Bringing it up.
So what piece of hardware has failed for you guys in the history of time being a gamer? Have you ever had a piece of hardware seriously fail?
Yeah, I had the Red Ring.
You did? Okay.
I did, and I think that's honestly why I never went back to Xbox. They had their chance, and
Only one though.
there's just one.
Damn right.
And in fact, I think I sent it out and I got it back, and there were still issues with it. So like the refurbished one, or I don't know if they refurbish yours, or if they give you. I don't remember how that worked back then, but I remember we got it back, and it just wasn't the same. And then I was like, okay, fine. It was like that. Like I'm just mad at my friend at that point. Like, fine, we were good, things were great. They had to ruin everything. Summer's
Did all
ruined.
up. Stamped on my heart.
I never experienced a failing system on my end, but I can say I remember one Christmas working video game retail where we literally had, this was like right after the 360 came out, we had so many red ringed ones brought back, and that initially scared me off from Microsoft. So I actually ended up getting a PlayStation 3, became a big PlayStation nut. Later in life, I went back and I got an Xbox One, and I did fall in love with it, but I was terrified to get a 360. It happened to them. It happened, I believe, to one of our mutual friends. I seen it left and right at stores. I was just like, I'm not going to get a system that's going to take a crap in a month or in a week, or so. That was a little dicey. There was a terrible Christmas season where we were getting them brought back almost every other day, and people screaming at us. And it was like, what do you want us to do? This isn't our fault. This is their product. We're just selling them. So
That gives me anxiety. You talking about that?
You know
right
what
now,
I'm
Chris? Yeah, dude.
There we go. You know what I'm talking about.
my
What?
my heart.
The magic of camera.
Oh,
Yeah,
my
you have
God.
experienced this
Yeah.
firsthand, and it sucks. I don't know if you guys have ever worked video game retail, but he has.
I got a cool story. I did have a family, true story, literally bury their loved one with his Xbox, his controllers, and his games because they wanted to be able to play in heaven.
That's cool.
And I thought that was so
really
cool.
It's cool, man.
Because like apparently this individual spent a lot of time on their Xbox, and I just thought it was so cool because they displayed it obviously right next to the casket, and I remember they were putting it in. And the more I get into what I do, which I'm a very jokey guy, but I'm very, very serious when it comes to being a funeral professional, or obviously I wouldn't be doing it still.
Yeah.
But I remember like even suggesting like, is it okay if I put the controller in his hands? Because I think, in my opinion, like that's what she really wanted, but people don't feel comfortable doing that kind of thing, even though it's their loved one. So I did that. And I do have a vivid moment of that, of like how cool that was. And like, I was like, where's the gamers outside with their controllers doing the salute? You know what I mean? Like the trigger, like, like as much as that sounds silly, that would have been awesome. That would have been really cool to see. So next time, note to self, America, if you're going to have a gamer's funeral, please tell everybody in attendance to bring their controllers.
Is it sad that my brain was going to the South Park episode where they bring Kenny up to heaven to go fight off the demons?
He's got the gold
PSP.
Yeah.
The
gold PSP.
That's literally where my brain went.
Dude, that is an awesome episode.
It was a great episode.
Oh, man.
So we got one more good question here in the comments. I just want to bring it up because it is a good one. I didn't think of this one. So he said, how do you guys feel about the idea of death rewarding you in video games by either giving you more narrative or buffing the character?
Also, hi, hey. You're great,
what's up,
man.
Hizzy Hay? Friend of ours.
So I think if so I think it depends if you're killing for good reasons, like if you're killing bad guys or if you're doing things that are moralistically sound, that to give you buffs or that to, but again, it could be, you could flip that around and say it's the same thing if you're playing a villain. If you're a villain, it would make sense for you to kill people, murder people. So yeah, I think that is kind of a cool concept of kind of rewarding you for however many deaths you do or how you do deaths. But I think a lot of it's going to depend on what your moral code is and how that character is going to play that out.
I think it would be a cool shtick for like a genre of games for a while, but at the same time, I like what they're doing. I like the games that there's pluses and their cons to every action you make. So honestly, like I like the idea that even if you think morally and ethically you're making the right decision, it may end up not being so right, because that's not how life works, right? There's always consequences, and I think the more we show those consequences, the better representation of death there is. But yeah, it would be a cool game concept, right? If killing would give you more. I'm sure there's games out there. I'm sure we could think of games out there that are like that.
Literally every power up is behind an enemy. That's literally Metroid.
Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, I like the you don't know, and depending on how those actions incur, because I like the games that they don't make it crystal clear what's really right and what's really wrong. Because I think in real life we don't know really what's right or wrong. We have an idea and an assumption, but we know what assumptions make, right?
I want to jump in real quick.
Sir.
Put a comment up. I think is it Hizzy Hayes? Is that the name?
This one?
Yeah, Hizzy Hayes.
Hizzy Hayes.
I like the comment about the brick wall because I was thinking the same thing earlier. I wasn't thinking Wile E. Coyote, which is great, and that does work with death. I was thinking Pink Floyd, The Wall, like you're sitting in front of the wall and you're going to start singing, but that's really
As soon as I had my space one up.
Into death. Wile E. Coyote dies every single episode, but never actually dies. He's like,
that's true.
He is literally in hell. Like Wile E. Coyote is in hell.
Yep.
Like,
oh yeah,
Satan is like, hey, you're gonna have to chase this roadrunner you've been chasing all your life forever. And really, if you think about it, what's interesting about like when he falls off the cliff, right? he doesn't fall off the cliff until he looks down. So if he just keeps walking, is that like the bridge in Indiana Jones?
Or it's like Bugs
Peter
Bunny.
Pan
when he
Man will
leaves- when
pass.
he-
You know
he
what I
There's
ends
a
up
lot of
on
layers to
the-
that cartoon. I have to think about this now.
There's
I
the
love-
night you chose poorly. He's like, I've been waiting for you, Wile E. Coyote. Come and get the Grail. Oh,
We were talking to our dad earlier about how we were going to be on this podcast tonight, and I think he brought up Wile E. Coyote and Roadrunner.
yeah.
Because
so-
he said even from when we're kids, we see death in cartoons, but it's never permanent. It's like you see these characters dying, but they're always back. They always come back, and that's interesting. That was a cool bring up.
our dad talks to well, I do it now too, but we talk to our local high schools and we bring up how kids, or I say kids, but they're teenagers, how they have this it's not going to happen to me, like death doesn't happen to me.
Yeah.
And he always brings up, well, let me go take you to any of the local cemeteries and show you two 17-year-olds that thought it would be fun to drink and drive on New Year's Eve, and they both died, or they were texting and driving or drinking, or all these things to like put it in their head. But he always brings up that like Wile E. Coyote keeps getting a boulder fall on him, like, and he says, listen, I assure you that if you're under 200 feet and a boulder falls on your head, you're not getting up. And like, or the other analogy of like Elmer Fudd shooting Daffy Duck with a shotgun, and literally his face goes to the side. He takes his hand and puts it back, and he's like, "Let me tell you from experience, if you take a shotgun to your head, you're not going to be able to pull it back together."
Yeah. So
I mean,
my
that's-
brother owns a company where we have to go and clean up suicides every now and then, and yeah, that's nope. You don't put that back.
And I think that is, I think the roundabout, if I can give any ethical scenario or any real moral of this story that we're talking about, games are games. And as long as we can keep teaching children that these are games, this is fun, this is fantasy, it's good for your imagination, it's great for you to do this, but this is a game. This is not reality. And we live in a society right now where we're losing the appreciation of grieving, and especially in a COVID society where we might not even be able to actually meet or grieve together. This is more needed than ever. And this is my only plug, Chris. I'm sorry, I'm doing the plug for the podcast.
No, you're good.
In today's society, we do not talk about death. Death is pushed to the side. Yep, there it is. Rock and roll. Check it out. It's a baby Doc Nick, my identical twin, and I have been doing. He's a doctor in psychology on grief and loss, and specializes in grief and loss, and I'm a funeral professional. But the biggest thing is what we're finding is the more we educate, the better. So as long as we can educate gamers that this is imaginary, this is not real, there is no Krogans out there, or maybe there is. Because if there was, please, Krogans, contact Benny Capaul at Let's Talk About Death.com.
No,
But anyway,
you don't want them on your channel, though.
no, I don't know. We got. But no, I think that's the big thing is as long as we can educate. Obviously, there's a reason why there was mature or stuff on games. Maybe a 10-year-old shouldn't be playing Call of Duty, guys.
Yeah.
I mean, let's just be honest about it, right? I think a lot of parents it's easier to have a kid just sit in front of a screen all day and do whatever they need to do. But maybe sitting with them and being like, listen, like, I understand you like this and this is, but realize this is not real. This is not. And for some, especially these poor kids that are bullied or picked on, this is their reality. This is what they love to do. They would rather be in their basement playing these games and escaping the world that they live in, which is scary, guys. It's absolutely scary that they spend so much time in the game that's the reality, and this becomes not reality. So this is where we see the issues, and it's not just video games; it's everything. We just need to educate that what death is, what consequences from our actions will do, and that it's okay to grieve, it's okay not to understand, it's okay to ask questions about death, because none of us were made with the program of knowing what death is. And let's be honest, guys, we talk about this, Doc Nick and I and Cappaulli, all the time. There's sex education in schools, but there's no death education. And I can promise you one thing, guys, you might not have sex, but you're gonna die. So there you go.
So like
thanks for that
mean,
pep
was that
talk.
from Mean
Thanks.
Girls? I can't remember. That's Mean Girls, right?
Was that Mean Girls? Is
I
that
think
the
that
hate
quote was
book
from-
or whatever?
I don't remember. I thought it was Mean Girls, where like if you have sex, you'll die. Was the quote? I don't remember.
Oh,
exactly.
yeah, probably.
But you said it the opposite. You said you might not have sex, but you will die.
Yeah, well, that's the truth, right?
Right,
There's
right.
some of us that, well, so yeah, that's the reality. I always said too, like it's interesting that little girls, like, they imagine their wedding days when they're super young, and they like plan it all out, but nobody plans out their death date.
No.
And there's no guarantee of a marriage, but there's a guarantee of death.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's more scary.
You're like, wow, this show got real dark.
Yeah.
Real fast.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, you got a bunch of hands here, man. What a speech.
Oh, thank you.
So on a sort of lighter note, but
On a sort of later night. Is that what
Yeah,
you
that's what I thought he said
said-
too.
lighter note.
There you go.
On a later night.
Yes. Have you ever had like any like weird suggestions that like would try to like brighten the day, like make it funny, maybe?
For what, death?
Yeah, like for like a funeral, anything like. Has there ever been a time when it's like the person, like the family, doesn't necessarily want to have like it be sad, but more funny?
Well, I'll be the first to say, if you can laugh and cry in a funeral, you're doing great, because that's the idea. Because everybody has comedy, everybody laughs, everybody smiles. The funeral process is lost in our society as this has to be this somber, quiet, depressing scenario. If you go to other cultures, they're wailing, they're dancing, they're playing, ska music. I'm in a ska band, so plug the Boy Detective there. But they're doing all this, and in our society, I think a lot of people are under the impression that you have to go there. We're not educated. So when you're a kid and you go to a funeral and nobody tells you what it is, you're like, why is everybody crying and why am I not crying? So now I have a problem because I'm not crying, or I have a problem because I'm crying and nobody else is crying. There it is. Pick it up. But honestly, I think the more that you can add humor, and let's be honest, Will, that's what eulogies most of the time happen. Somebody in the eulogy, the first thing that comes out of a good eulogist is usually a joke or a slide remark that's going to get everybody in the room to laugh. Because all of us are imperfect, and that's usually what tends to come up is our imperfections. But we would want people to talk about it, and I think we literally have an episode called Death and Humor, because I think they go along so much. I mean, humor's in tragedies, right? The old plays, there's humor in them, because the idea is there's ironices and everything in our lives. So why can't we laugh about it, right? Why can't and what I think people get lost is, and I'm going to say this, I believe in what's called good grief. So I find, as well as Charlie Brown, and there's beauty in death. If we could live, if we didn't die, think about this, because this is the opposite. If you lived forever, vampire style, eventually everything would become monotonous, right? When a 2-year-old picks up a soccer ball, it is the coolest thing they've ever seen. They've never seen anything so cool in their life. This is the coolest ball. It's white and black. I can kick it. Maybe it trips me. That's fun. I can throw it over my head. Maybe use my head. But like a 30-year-old that looks at a soccer ball, like, okay, that's a soccer ball. That's it. You know what I mean? Imagine when you live all of the experiences, and that's why you hear a lot of times like the 90 and 100-year-olds will say, "I'm ready," because they've lost everybody, and we as human beings are only meant to take so much heartbreak, right? So imagine if you live to 100, most of your friends are gone, most of your family is gone, maybe your children are gone. There is beauty in.
I'll be good. I have no friends
Wow.
already, so I'm not losing anybody.
There you go. No, I'm just saying, in all honesty, then that's it right here. That little thing. If you come with death with love, you can say any humorous thing you want to, because it's coming from love. It's the second you bring in anger or like the saddest part, and I'll give you guys a good example of it, and I don't want to get into it because that's not what the show is about, but what I'm saying is, like, the pandemic has gone so political. So like people, when it comes to COVID, you either have to be on this side or you have to be on that side. And that's what's sad, is because they're so worried about that. Nobody's really worried about the grieving process that these families are going through. Mm-hmm. They don't care probably at this point about any of that. They just care that you're there and that you're present with them. So like going back to it, this whole thing, humor, absolutely. Anything that you can do to make somebody laugh, because even if it's just for a second, you're lighting, you're making the weight in that room so much lighter. And that's what I say to families all the time. They're like, well, Christmas is coming up, right? The first of everything. Mm. I say, be the first one when everybody's around and say, this sucks.
Get that out of the way, right?
I know Grandpa made the best cheese ball. Nobody's going to make anywhere near that good of a cheese ball. You know what I mean? Like, bring up funny things that people are going to laugh about, because everybody's feeling it. Just nobody knows how to talk about it. So the worst, it's like the Wayne Gretzky thing, right? You can't make any goals if you don't take any shots, kind of thing. Like, you got to be willing to talk about death, because the more we talk about death, the less it stings everybody. That is the conclusion. Just like everything else. And then eventually I'll have a show called Let's Talk About Living, because we'll forget about living because we'll be talking about death so much. So that's my goal.
Benny, I totally agree with you on that, man. Like Lindsay and I went through something very similar, like where we both lost somebody that we cared about a lot. And that was our grieving process, was like joking about it. And we both felt like awesome, because we were like, we could be open and talk about it, and we can make jokes about it. And like I agree. Comedy is like a really, like, just showing some emotion is like a really good way of opening up about something like that, for sure.
Well, see, if you're just completely solemn about it, then you're not really celebrating that person's life, the life that they lived. Mm-hmm. And you're not really, it's so hard, because you want to memorialize them as this perfect person, but nobody's perfect. And so in order to do that, you really need to have humor. Oh man, this guy's
I'm on it.
We got a good one coming in.
No.
Why are there so many of them?
Why is this person still? I don't know who this person. Oh, block. There we go.
Oh, there we go. I was putting him in timeout, not block.
That's what I did.
Was he trying to sell you pills or something?
No. You want me to read the name of this person? You already said Hitler in the podcast, so the Hitler's in the name with a bunch of other really nasty
Chris,
stuff.
You started that up. Yeah, Capaul, you started that up.
Yeah, the YouTube algorithm.
Like he's gonna play a Bee Gees record pretty soon, so I think we're okay. No, you know, I think we have to learn to escape sympathy and apathy and actually go to empathy. And I think that's something that we as a society don't do anymore. And I think the more that we do that, the more that humor is going to come out, because it's going to be more natural. I think that's the thing. Usually, and if you think about it, next time you go to a funeral or visitation, if there's somebody that says a joke, jokes tend to seem to come out after that. It just takes that first person to do it. And I'm sure they are very awkward about it. But usually there's one person in the family that's always like the jokester to begin with. So, yeah. So I don't know. Chris, does that answer your question?
Yeah.
I wasn't talking to you, Capaul.
I think it answered all of the Chris's questions. Just so you know, I put the username of that person in the private chat if you guys want to see what it was.
It's
I don't understand.
There we go.
Like, how is that allowed to be made even?
That's a good question. Who knows? It's whatever. Okay, moving on from that. I do want to thank you guys, and I want to give you the opportunity. If there's anything else that you guys want to talk about before we're getting close to that 2-hour mark. So I want to make sure if there's anything you guys wanted to talk about, we didn't miss it.
Well, I've been really not talking a lot this podcast, so I'm gonna let Paulie kind of finish whatever rambling he's got, and then I'll close with my thoughts.
Okay.
Honestly, guys, thanks for having us on. It was a lot of fun. We enjoy doing stuff like this, and it's a great topic. I think it's amazing that you guys put that together. I don't really have much more than that. Just, keep on trucking. You guys have a great show. It's fun to be on it.
Thank you very much.
I would like to challenge Billy when it comes to not liking Until Dawn. It's okay. The game is really good. I don't understand why you have such a aggression against it. So I challenge you to replay it, maybe rethink about it. I think that would be best for you.
Man. No, I totally get it. I hate it. I don't know why I hate it so much. It's wild. It's just insane to me.
You keep bringing up the butterfly room, and I get it.
It's such a
I can
stupid
understand
scene.
some of that aggression.
Like, who casted Hayden Panettiere as like the lead in that game? It's wild to me. So wild.
Thank you, Billy, for that. And Will, thank you for letting me keep stepping on your toes when you're trying to talk. I really appreciate that. Perfect at that. And I don't understand why you have such a problem against Xboxes. So, maybe we convene on that. And then Chris, as always, just you kill it, man. You're doing great. Thank you for having us on. You have the nice beanie going. It looks very warm in there, very cuddly.
My wife knitted this.
You could tell. I mean, it's if you want to give me that hat, that'd be great. I can match it with the old poncho over here, or whatever he's gonna play next. I think. What are you playing next? Oh, he's going on to the Beach Boys next. So.
Oh, disc jockey. That's right.
Fun. Now that Daddy took the T-Bird away. Coming up next. Oh, thank you all. This is amazing. I love talking about games. Please have us back for just a Bloodborne lore game or night, because we will love to go through that nonsense with you. But other than that, thank you all.
Yeah, we appreciate you guys coming on here. It was a really different subject, so I really appreciated having the right people on for this. I couldn't think of a better set of people to have on for talking about death than literally the guys that do a death podcast and also work with a funeral home. Like, how much better could you get?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a thanatologist.
You have to explain that one to me.
Yeah, I don't know that word.
It's a scientist of death.
You guys,
how do you spell
the
that?
capability of muting Ben's square or pen.
No, Cappaulli has that. He's got like that, like when you're in driver's ed and they have that like special break. He's got one of those over here. I do it to him most of the time. He just thinks, Thank you guys for having us on. We really appreciate it.
For anybody that was curious, it is real. I figured out how to spell it, and they make about 50,000 a year.
And you get like a plant. Is that the
I don't know.
representation of that?
That's your diploma. Usually it's a dead one though.
Yeah.
All right.
We'll be here all night. Thank you, everybody.
Really appreciate you coming on,
Grillcast.
Yeah. All right. Thank you again for Billy for rejoining us. And for those that forgot who Billy was, Billy's awesome. Go check out his D&D channel.
Thanks for letting me be on your podcast for the first time. It's been awesome.
Billy's been on here since the beginning. Love Billy. And thank you guys for coming on. And we will, I don't know. How do we sign off again? Well, I totally forgot because I'm totally lost.
Normal one. That's the only one I remember. When we used to do the non-live.
I don't remember what I even said anymore. My goodness. Okay. Thank you all. I'm Chris.
And I'm Will.
And we will see you
on next Grillcast. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.